Hey everybody, and welcome to a new episode of Indie Film Cafe's What the Fuck Fridays.
The fuck?
I'm your old pal, the Moo Cow, and I'm joined by...
John, you go.
I'm Joe Turek, and I don't know what the F is going on here.
None of us do. And I'm Jonathan Moody, the co-host.
So, we are doing a movie that I've been wanting to do for quite some time. I believe Mr. Moody has seen it, at least part of it.
I stopped watching.
I'm pretty sure Joe has not seen this film.
I'm already boxed in here because I can't escape now.
Yeah. I've already apologized ahead of time for this one. This movie has a well-deserved, notorious reputation for being a what-the-fuck film. And if we did Pink Flamingos, think of that as the sort of Dark Prince of what-the-fuck Friday movies, this one is up there with the kings. I mean, it's not like one of the vomit movies. It's not one of the extreme. It's not Salo, but it's pretty rough. And yeah, it's pretty damn interesting. So,
what is it?
It is the 1997 Harmony Korine film Gummo.
I did see part of it.
Yeah,
I think I might have seen pieces of that.
Yeah,
it's actually getting a Criterion release on 4K coming in, I think October.
So this would this be the first movie that could go from What the F Friday to Criterion?
Well, we've done a few things that all of a sudden
that fit both.
But those are usually from Film Freaks or whatnot, and not from here. So
I mean, this isn't just a crazy ass film. It's actually pretty darn good. It's just there's a lot of shock value you got to get past in order to get to
the part where I get it. I think I just got bored in the beginning, so I think
you're gonna love.
I saw any of it.
You're gonna love the movie as it gets on.
Oh god!
All right. Well, we will be back to talk about this film on the flip side. So
see you then.
Bye. I'm sorry, Joe. I'm sorry, Joe. I'm sorry, Joe. Did you touch my coochie? Nothing new for trash like you.
Cock-a-doodle-doo.
What did you guys think of Gummo?
I literally thought it was gonna be worse than that, but I didn't hate the movie, which I thought it was going to. I thought I was going to hate the movie.
You both hate this movie.
I thought so, but
I don't know if love or hate's the right way to really say it for me. I mean, for you, I understand where you're going with that. For me, it's like I went into it in a happy mood.
And now what?
I came into it like in a happy, relaxed mode today. And after watching it, I'm feeling very depressed. I'm laughing, but it's like I feel kind of obviously skeezed out from the. It's kind of just depressed.
37 showers are not enough.
So you're saying you came in like happy. But you knew we were doing a What the Fuck Friday. You should have been a little worried.
Well, yeah, I was worried. No, I'm just saying my day started out. I've just been in a very happy, relaxed mode today.
Yeah.
And this movie is just that it shows a part of society that I'm not really around. And
right.
It's sad, and that depresses me when I think about it. That's where I'm going with it.
Well, I mean, does it depress you because you're not around it, or does it depress you because you know that these people exist?
It's sad because you know these people exist,
exactly.
And a lot of them don't care.
Yeah.
They don't do anything to get outside of what that is.
They don't know.
They don't know. They don't care.
Yeah.
No, I mean, if they did know, there's nothing they can do about it. This is
right.
This is here's the thing, when we're kids, right? Speaking of kids, because Larry Clark and
this felt like Kids Part 2 in a lot of ways. But,
when we're kids, we grow up in the area that our parents have us grow up. Yeah. So if our parents are in Xenia, Ohio, and the shit is shit, and it's disgusting, revolting, whatever, and nobody knows to do anything about it. This is also back before internet really existed and other things, and people could sort of, other than movies, could see, or music could see how life could be. nobody would know to change anything. So people just back then in 97, 96, they just wanted things life to be just, you know, the way it is there, and they're just used to that.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you mention it, like where we grew up and stuff like that, because my parents were both from Ohio, West Virginia, Ohio area. And I've never lived there, but I've been there a number of times. Now, we were on the east side. This movie takes place on the west side. I think it was shot in Nashville, I think you said, or something.
Shot in Nashville.
But
the worst parts of Nashville.
Yeah, because it's not area in Nashville that I saw when I visited.
Oh, no.
But
it's not going to have, like, the country music stuff or anything.
But yeah, exactly. I could see some of the stuff in the Ohio feel. I could see that a little bit, but it's like when you made the comment about where you were raised and where you grew up and stuff like that. My parents were raised and grew up in Ohio. Not this type, but I always wonder, like, if I would have been raised and lived in that area, if they would have never left. My dad went in the military, so I was born at a military base, so I was a military kid. So I've never had that sort of thing. I lived in a military basis, so my upbringing and structure is not from this world. So it's just different. And seeing that people do live like that, and I'm not saying the people that I know in Ohio where family and all is from, it might look some of the area, visibly the area, but the people don't act like that.
Right.
From where I'm at, it's an old steel mill towns feel where I'm from.
Cringy. I've seen this movie more than a dozen times, and
I'm watched this like more than a dozen.
Still cringed out by because I show people who've never seen it.
Oh, okay. So you don't watch this by yourself, though.
No,
like
God,
you wouldn't, you know.
I'm in the mood for some good quality entertainment. I'm just wondering
I need to go to bed. What's some good movie that'll put me to sleep?
What is the most horrible train wrecky Jerry Springer-ish kind of shit I could possibly
that's what I
watch?
felt like. I was like, this felt like Springer, like a
train wreck.
It was like a Springer movie, a real life people from some of the stuff.
Yeah, it was like a behind the scenes of what the people were like that would go on screen.
It's funny. It's like, you know, the movie opens up talking about how this tornado came and hits this place, Xenia, Ohio, and all this shit's happening. And all I can think of, is, man, the tornado did not do its job because it's still there and it's horrible.
Is Xenia a real place?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a real town called Xenia.
It's in the outskirts near Dayton.
So why did they film it in Nashville and not in Xenia?
Because there's some horrible, shitty, nasty areas of Nashville.
Right.
That's what he wanted to capture.
It's probably what they have in Xenia, Ohio, too.
Like,
I mean, you might as well.
The house they shot in with the roaches, that was real. That was a completely horrific roach-infested home.
So it wasn't a roach wrangler around? It was
no,
they just let it be what it was?
The crew and everybody was disgusted and wanted to leave. They made them get hazmat suits. And Harmony Korine and the cinematographer, whose name I forget, the French guy, they because they said it's going to make the people who live here feel bad if you do that, and they're like, we don't care, this place is disgusting. So they decided to shoot those scenes in wearing nothing but Speedos and flip-flops.
Wait, so the people that live there, like...
Yes, there's people who live there.
There are people who live there that were okay with them filming because they knew it was disgusting? They just had
they didn't say it because of that. They just said, oh, you can film in our house.
I guess the thing is it's like some people, that's their reality, and it's their chance to be seen or heard, maybe. I'm trying to rationalize
or maybe it's just simply they got money for it. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe they probably got paid a little bit.
I hope so.
They got their next weekend's fix or
maybe they can use
whatever.
that money for an extermination. You know,
ain't enough money in the world for that kind of extermination.
Maybe it was to buy new chairs so they could wrestle with,
or get a new fucking house. Maybe, get to move out of that damn place.
Like every scene in this movie is absolutely filthy and disgusting and horrible. It's kind of what I like about it.
Well, at the end, I was sitting there at the very end, and I said, oh, these two kids, the two ones selling the candy bars. I was like, oh, do we have some redeeming characters? But I thought about it right after the movie. And there actually is one redeeming character in this film. Well, two really. I think the sister's the little sister is, because I mean she's just oblivious.
Oh, Darby.
Yeah,
Darby.
I think she is. But in all honesty, I think the rabbit.
I
think that bunny rabbit kid, I think, is meant to be happy. It's meant to mean like happiness.
Yeah, well,
because it seems like wherever he's around, it's like he's so happy. And
well, he has that scene where he just walks by those kids and the kids pretend to shoot him or whatever, and they're like, "Motherfucker!" and they're cursing at him and everything, saying all
kids.
those nasty words to him, and I'm like thinking, good God. You know, I never talk like my parents. If I ever talked like this, they ever caught me talking like this, I would have been in trouble.
Well,
like,
clearly these kids have no parents.
Yeah, they
no
really
real life like we know it.
Yeah, the few parents that they did show
were horrible.
Were suspect in nature. I mean, the one she washed his hair in the middle of spaghetti and dinner in the tub.
The casual violence
get to
that these kids see on an everyday basis from just being around their own families.
Or she threatened to shoot him if he didn't
my
smile.
God. Yeah, while they were tap dancing and.
Or you know, they're just offhandedly talk about setting animals on fire and because it's fun.
Or you know, or whatever. The you know, the two girls that we were talking about earlier, the two sisters. They were talking about how if they had like the kittens had, or the cat had kittens, that they'd have to go and drown them in the water, and just like, the fuck, you know.
And what makes this so effective is, like I said, there's like 4 real actors in this film. The rest are either friends, like the 2 skinheads were friends that Harmony Korine knew, and he just had them beat the shit out of each other because that's what you do when you have friends. You ask them to do that. And the little midget guy, the African American guy, he was a friend, so he went in and did that. Most of these other people, he found them. He would just like find them in the street. He would find them in coffee shops. He'd find them in McDonald's and say, "Hey, you want to be in my movie?" He would just find somebody who looked weird or strange.
It's authentic.
And just let them be.
Yeah, it's authentic to what they were trying to portray.
Like the whole chair fighting, see that whole thing? Most of that was just letting them go, letting them do their thing.
It was sad, but that was funny.
It was funny, and then you were like, "Oh God, this scene." I thought something terrible was gonna happen, but no, it's just a weird fucking scene where it was just
when he tried to wrestling. Tried to pin the chair.
Well, it's so descriptive of these characters.
Right.
It really is, but it's also cringingly embarrassing. I mean,
well, let's explain that though, because like they have a scene where the guys are arm wrestling and
they're drinking an arm wrestling.
Drinking arm wrestling. And one guy gets beat by his son, you know, arm wrestling. Then
we have poetry.
Then they have the women, the 2 girls fight each other, and the bigger girl wins, of course, because I knew that girl was gonna win.
She was ready for it. She was
like pretty much. She had some muscle on her, so I knew that she was gonna win. Then the midget guy and the other guy, the father who
guy
lost,
with the fucking hair
I think
all
he
over
lost.
him.
He was the one who lost earlier.
Are
Right?
you talking about Plumber Butt?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. They fought each other. They fought each other, and the midget won. And then he got all mad and turned over the table and broke the legs of the table.
Yeah, that shit was not fake. That shit was real.
Yeah, it was just, he was upset because the midget actually beat him.
If he was truly acting there, then he should be doing more.
I thought something bad was going to happen to the midget. Like I thought, like the guy was going to take one of the.
Because they had all the racial stuff in there too.
I know, and they started saying the N-word a lot, and I mean he was one of the only. There's 4 black guys in the movie with the 2 little kids. But like, there's the other guy that runs the place where they sell all the cats, the dead cats.
These are some of the most deplorable, horrific, rednecky, fucking scumbag people you will ever see in your life.
Well, it's funny that they say the N-word and stuff, but it doesn't look like they don't mind hanging out with black people. So it's not like they see the N-word almost as a racist slur. It almost just seems like they're just. That's like just what they. Thing. That's just an everyday calling of what they call them.
I think there's some areas, and I think in Ohio, in different places, that is somewhat accepted, not right, not. I don't know. I don't know, and
maybe it's. I mean, it's a South thing too.
I think they tried to strip it down. I think they just tried to strip stuff down here and just show people for who they were.
They just know they're trash and they don't care.
Yeah, they're white. They're literally the definition of white trash.
And to be honest, when we mentioned Springer earlier, and that's what Springer was. The show was like they just wanted their 15 seconds of fame or 15 minutes of fame.
Well, now they're getting way more than that because Criterion's putting this shit out, which means that like a whole new batch of people who never heard of Harmony Korine.
You said putting this shit out.
Yeah, putting this shit out. Yeah, I mean, it's not. This movie's not that bad. It's just it's shit. It's like just a lot of shit in the movie.
It wallows in shit.
Yeah, you know? and it knows that.
What I like about this movie is that, you know me, I love people and artists who think outside the box. This is not a traditional 3-act story that's being told.
It's a documentary.
In a way, it's presented as a documentary, but what's going on is he's created these vignettes and character sketches and little scenes that involve similar people where they overlap, and it's edited in such a way that it seems to tell a story, but really it's just a collection of these scenes and vignettes of these appalling people doing appalling things.
Yeah, you had the 2 or 3 stories that had sort of a narrative.
It's like a pastiche.
Had a narrative flow in it, and then they intertwined it with just. I mean, I don't say cameos. But
I
just,
really
just brief
dig the way the movie is made. I don't dig the subject matter, trust me, but the way that it's made, I think, is really good.
Well, I mean, what is it? The main characters are obviously the 2. I'm guessing they're friends, right?
Solomon and Tamar.
Solomon and Tamar, yeah. And they are just they're
ne'er-do-wells.
Yeah, and they are. Well, I mean, they're killing cats and selling them and stuff.
They did have a moment of at the beginning they were like, no, we don't kill that cat because that cat's like
a house cat.
A house cat, a domesticated cat. So they seem to have a line that they didn't want to cross.
Well, most of them do. But then Jared, the other boy that also does it, he says he just puts poison out and kills them. Which I think really pissed those guys off because not only are they stealing his, potential whatever, but it's also not fair to the thing because they're not that could be a house cat that wanders off and dies from the poison and
right. They kind of see themselves as performing a public service.
But that said, they still end up at the end.
Yeah, killing the house cat.
I mean, I believe that they're the ones that end up killing him.
Well, because they're shooting him at the end, or pretending to shoot him or whatever, make sure he's dead, I guess. And it was really fucked up. Now, Paul warned us ahead of time that there was a lot of animal violence. So if you are appalled to animal violence, like Joe, me, and Paul are generally, don't worry. This movie you will see from even the first time they drown a cat, it is not a real cat that they're drowning at that time.
But I'll tell you, man, I saw this in the theater when it came out, and I didn't get any warnings. I didn't know anything about it other than I knew the guy who wrote Kids, which I loved, had done this film. And
that alone should give you.
Did people leave the audience?
Oh, people reacted. Trust me, people reacted, and I was appalled. I don't think I'd been as appalled that moment that I had than when I'd seen something like Salo or Singapore Sling or some of the more extreme
Blood-Sucking Freaks
films. Yeah, Blood-Sucking Freaks. One of the Lucifer movies.
But those are different because a lot of them are like about rape, which was a big thing with kids in the movie Kids.
Slaughtered vomit dolls, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and some of those are just like sick sexual stuff. This had sexual stuff, but it was like
things that sort of wallow in the grotesque.
So one guy was pawning off his sister or his girlfriend or whatever.
Oh God, yeah.
And she seemed to be
into it.
Educationally.
That's some of the stuff
limited.
That I felt very uncomfortable with. Is the feeling that there were people who were being exploited for their, underdevelopment, let's just say, and that made me feel uncomfortable. That skis the fuck out of me when I first saw it.
Yeah, well, I mean, sure, she was, but and that is really fucked up because like if she sort of knew better, she would have probably said no, but she sort of. I don't think she knew better.
No, she didn't because she said something about love or something.
Yeah.
Like, I love you or something.
Yeah. It got really weird because she was saying that to like a 12-year-old.
The thing is I, at the same time, I was insulated a little bit because I already knew who Chloe Sevigny was beforehand. I already knew who Max Perlich was because he was in Homicide: Life on the Streets, which is a show I loved. I already knew the Solomon because he was in Road to Wellville, which I freaking loved. So I already knew that there were actors in this. But if I hadn't known that, you're right. I would have thought, is this a documentary? Because this shit seems real.
It did feel like a documentary. It felt like, it was very similar to Kids in a lot of ways.
No, and Kids had a very documentary feel to it too. But even Kids, I could tell was a narrative. This has shots where you would see some things and then you would see other, it just felt like you were watching a documentary. Like, this would not be on Docs that Rock if this were an actual documentary. Because this would have been skeezy and like, you wouldn't, and then people did do narrative, narration over things and stuff.
And you can tell there are some scenes that are just kind of false.
Right.
Like the part where, they've gone to the pimped out sister and Tumblr's done, so he starts doing this stand-up joke routine and Max Perlix is laughing at. Obviously that is a fake scene. He's not doing that spontaneously. The jokes are not funny, even though the dude's laughing anyway. That's a false scene, and that's been put in there, in my opinion, as a way to sort of remind people that this is not a documentary.
Yeah, and I think it also adds to the dismissal of what was going on in the other room, that they were just dismissive of it, like it was just transactional.
Yeah, they don't care. Like the brother didn't care. He was like, all he kept doing was like, "Are you ready? Are you ready?" Yeah. Yeah.
That was really skeezy too. That was I don't know if he told him to do that or Max Perlich did it himself, but that always wigged me out too.
Or he was like watching for a little bit to make sure something was happening, but he didn't watch the kid though. It didn't seem. He didn't look at much him, and he didn't have. It didn't look like. I mean, if he had sex, we never saw anything, which was good because he's 12. I mean, we shouldn't be seeing any of this stuff.
You have to understand. Remember, I'm the kind of person that background things stick out in my mind. So every time I see somebody's filthy feet or somebody's just horrible filth in the background on their faces or in their food, it's like a big giant red flag, and I'm like, oh my god, this is gross.
Well, and that's fair for a kind of movie like this. That's what they're trying to show.
Yes.
And some independent films, you see that stuff in the background. And you're like, why the fuck would they? Why wouldn't they clean that up?
Exactly. And the thing is that that's Hollywood. Hollywood always presents everything sort of cleaned up and perfect. And that's just not what life is. This is a lot more like life is. It's just that it's a level that I don't really want to...
Well, yeah, because every house they went into were hoarders. And...
Oh, my God.
Oh, God. Yeah, it felt like we were watching the show Hoarders. Because there was so much stuff in there. And, like, people just never threw anything away.
There wasn't a clean spot in the entire film. I was just, like, trying to huddle and, like, not touch anything.
Yeah, well it seemed like... and I even mentioned it while we were watching it. I says, who's really... the humans and who's really the animals in this? It was almost interchangeable in a lot of ways because the animals couldn't. They just try to exist. In this case, were the humans just existing in a lot of ways for the way that they had? That was what they knew.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I did look up because we were curious on where the title came from.
Right.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
And there was two things that I saw. One of them, it said first. It was Xenia, Ohio, Israel.
Yeah.
So we knew that. It says, what does the word gummo mean? It says something excellent or impressive.
Huh.
So I kind of like that. I'm kind of a little torn on really with that. But they said, why is it called Gummo? And on the IMDb it says the film takes its name from the fifth and lesser known Marx brother, Gummo. It says who dropped out of their shows before the brothers became famous.
I didn't know that.
So there was Groucho, Harpo,
Marco.
No, not Marco.
Mark.
There's
Zeppo,
and there was a fourth one.
Fifth one.
That was the fourth one was what was the one that they always kind of make a joke about on like Evil Dead. They have a who's the fifth?
Okay, here we go. I think Chico. There's Chico, Harpo, Groucho, and Zeppo.
Yeah, Zeppo's usually the one that. He's
and
like the straight guy.
Gummo was the fifth.
Are you sure about that?
That's what it says.
Does it say it on that?
Chico, Harpo, Groucho, Gummo.
Look up who's the fifth Marx brother on there, because I don't think that's right. Because I think there was he always called somebody.
Zeppo.
Oh,
No, it wasn't Zeppo. And so, but that is right. There is a Zeppo.
Well, it does say, it says, now this is AI, it says Margaret Dumont is often referred to as the fifth Marx brother because she was the comic foil. So that was actually, and then it says Groucho Marx himself called her practically the fifth brother.
Yeah,
so that was a woman, but because she was always in there. But of according to Wikipedia, the 5 of them are Chico, Harpo, Groucho, Zeppo, and then Gummo.
So the 5th one is forgotten, just like
it says
most of these
there was a
people
6th brother, the firstborn
forgotten.
named Manny, who died in infancy.
Oh.
Zeppo was given the middle name Manfred in his memory.
So were they all actually brothers, or are they just friends?
I don't think so.
I don't think they were.
I think it was a troop.
Yeah, it was a troop, and they just called themselves
like the Stooges were a troop.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Gummo, that's part of where.
I guess.
Kind of interesting that they.
I don't know why they would do that, but
well, because Gummo was the forgotten Marx brother, just like these people are the forgotten part of America.
Yeah.
Well, I guess. Yeah. I mean, that's as good of an explanation as I think you can get. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So now the director. What else is? He said
Harmony Korine.
Harmony Korine
was in the one scene as well.
Yeah, he played that one scene where he's drunk and he's like all over the little guy, and who's his friend?
Yeah, in real life, they were all friends. Okay,
yeah.
So that's why it was. Because I've always wondered because little people are more expensive to have as actors because they know better. They're harder to get. So they have their own union. They do, they're very specific on this stuff. So it's harder to get. I don't know in 96, 97 if that was a thing. But
they're on the short list?
Yeah. Okay, that was a good one. I like that. That was a good one. All right. So, yes. So, anyway, yeah, but he was in the movie, and my first thought was, oh wow, they paid for a little person to be in the movie. Or he was like one of the people that actually lived there.
I think he did some crew work as well.
Yeah. So I'm glad to know that he was friends with Harmony and that he just said, hey, do you want to be in this? That's probably why he was like, I'm gay, and then the guy tries to kiss him and goes, no.
Nope.
No.
Nope.
No. Like, you're not gay.
That was an uncomfortable scene. You even said that.
Yeah, I was like, where is this going? What's this? I was like, But then the guy showed up in the drinking scene with the table and all that stuff.
And he beat the guy.
Where you thought that he might have something might happen to him because with the context of where everything else was.
Yeah, because he was a black guy and those guys were a bunch of rednecks.
And he beat him.
And he beat him. So that did I thought he would get mad but the thing is, if you notice, he's in there like hanging out with them like normal. So really, it shouldn't have even crossed my mind. Yeah, that they even thought that. I mean, honestly, he really did get mad because that was the second time he got beat. He just got frustrated, and everything.
And he's drunk.
When you're drunk and frustrated, you're gonna react, the way that he did. Like, I've never seen anybody flip over a table and then break off the legs of the table.
I mean, you get the impression.
I've never seen a person sit there wrestling a chair and fully believing
and everyone's
that it's
like,
another
get
person.
Kill him!
And they were trying to pin him like it was a wrestling match, and then they beat
destroyed
the chair the guy head.
Yeah, you get the feeling that that's like an everyday occurrence for these people. They get drunk and they get rowdy and they do stupid shit like that, and it's just.
I don't know how they do that because then they're gonna have to keep buying a new table every time.
Well, there's this thing in West Virginia that whenever the West Virginia University Mountaineers football team wins big games, they burn their couches. And so destroying furniture in that region, maybe
maybe that's like the
maybe it's a cultural point of celebration or a point of whatever.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It was ridiculous. So Chloe Savini and her sister or whatever, they were good.
Yeah.
They were definitely interesting characters.
How about the two skinhead brothers fighting? You guys were like, oh shit, that's real.
Oh yeah, I mean they were really.
That is real.
Yeah, they were really fighting each other they probably always do.
I remember with my brothers and with my cousins and stuff like that, we would have boxing matches or wrestling matches. We wouldn't have the fist fights. Stuff would turn into wrestling matches and stuff like that. So I mean, I could see where the testosterone of them too, because they just worked out right before it. And
especially
stuff like that.
Given the fact that they're introduced as people who killed their parents, which of course isn't true.
Right, obviously it's for the narrative of
but
the story.
It makes that scene where they're fighting so much worse.
Yeah, and he's like, hey, give me your shoes. And he's like, they're new. I don't give He's like, but you gave me your shoes before. It's like, well, they were new.
They weren't nice and shiny or something.
Yeah, so and it got so weird. They fought each other and everything. Then after they were done, he goes, all right, give me your shoe. And I was like, dude, what do you want to eat tonight?
He's like, what are you cooking for dinner?
Yeah, what are you cooking? And I was like, wait a minute, he just totally just like ignored him, asking about this, like this just seems like two brothers who I don't know if they were brothers or if they just played brothers. Okay, they look like brothers. They were two brothers just fighting each other like they probably always do. They probably always have little fist fights and stuff. And you know what? I mean, guys like that probably exist because they get into fights normally, and they just need practice.
I knew kids like that. They were just a bunch of knuckleheads that were always doing stupid shit like that. Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, because a couple of that one punch, there was that one right that got the guy across the thing. I was like, that was not fake. That was real. He really got him.
At first he did that, and he was like, oh, no face punching, right? But it wasn't that hard one. Then later, the guy smacked him hard, and I was like, oh, shit. I think he was paying him back for the one that the other guy did.
Oh, he had a bloody lip by the end.
Yeah. And so all of that shit's true and real, and it felt weird. Mm-hmm. It felt like, I mean, this is definitely a what the fuck movie, but like, it just felt like we shouldn't be watching this.
This is how you establish verisimilitude in a way that's feels real without being fake, without being Hollywood real. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, okay, because if we're Hollywood, they would pretend to fight each other and it would look fake, and then we would not have a good time.
And because remember, everything has to be done by union people. It all has to get insured. It all has to go through all of these hoops and things and all this shit in order to make sure nothing actually really happens. And it sort of drains the realism out of the whole thing. Yeah, it's all choreographed and contrived. There ain't nothing contrived. I mean, there is stuff contrived in this film, but it doesn't feel like it.
The ending should have had the line of, like, no animals were harmed in the making of this film, but humans got the shit kicked out of them.
Some of them not nearly enough.
The guy that tried to touch the girl's coochie, and shit, the pervert and stuff. He should have gotten way more than just the smacking or whatever.
You touched my coochie.
I know.
When he was taken off with them, I was like, he's
bad things are gonna happen.
Something there that he's taking them to a bad place, or he's going to do something or something. And there was like three of them. But then the girls, they just the girls seemed like, I mean, they seemed like they were trying to make the best of the whole film of their situation.
Trying to live the best they can.
Yeah.
So I guess on some notes, they weren't necessarily bad. They were just.
I felt bad for them.
Exactly, yeah, the two girls were like watching some guy play tennis and shit, and then he stopped playing tennis to come talk to them, and he goes on this whole rant about ADD
and Ritalin.
But like, you could tell like this conversation just feels like a normal thing for like these girls to like go up to and bother the guy for tennis, and then because the one girl liked the guy
with his horrible mullet.
Yeah, with his horrible mullet.
And I have a bad feeling that a lot of when they talk about the Ritalin and stuff, that a lot of like that and the opiates and stuff like that, Ohio's really has a lot of issues with that. And this is the type of people that you don't see and you don't hear their voice very often. So that's, as troubling as this film is, it does serve a purpose in having some people that you don't see their story.
Well, you can't do anything about it. I mean, you can't go into a whole town and fix it up. Like, you're not going to be able to change these things, which sucks. And making people aware of it is one thing, but like, we're lucky because we live in areas and stuff that we're not going to see this stuff. We're not going to see.
Yeah, we are not part of that subculture.
Yeah, there's an environment and a structure has been placed. We've been in our life where we've had an education, we've had a family.
We've had opportunities.
Now, there might be areas in Hampton, Virginia, that are pretty bad and have like Newport people
News,
like this.
Newport
News, because that's called bad news, and so a lot of that area is pretty terrible. But you guys lived, you lived in the house that you lived in was really, was really nice, and everything that you rented in Newport News. The house you have now is really nice. I've seen your house; it's really nice, and you live in nice neighborhoods where if stuff like that happened, police would be there in like 2 seconds and stuff, and everything would be would be solved. These people, I didn't even see police at all.
Well, there was
in
no
this movie.
police. There was very little parental structure, and the parents that were there was negative, and then there was like education seemed to be non-existent.
No, there's no infrastructure.
Yeah,
in these places.
they did seem like they were trying to articulate their feelings out, and they worded out a few things. Sometimes it seemed like they had a little bit of, and maybe that was just inside them. That was a gift that each one of them had, as they had a little bit of a gift for word in their minds.
They were talking about how horrible it was living in places
exactly,
like
but
that.
And then they go on like
no real structure.
And they go off and sniff bags of glue.
Well, no, but then they go off like they'd have the people who are mentally challenged or so go on about like that one girl at the end that's just talking about her doll and all the that stuff, and she just keeps going on and on and on about.
I like the thing that's like cherries. The fuck.
Yeah,
and we've talked about the stuff with the cats to a degree, but what the guy was buying them for?
He's talking about the Chinese restaurant.
Chinese restaurant.
He
mentioned that at one point.
Yeah,
and it's like what really? It's like
you don't want to know.
You don't want to know, but the thing is it's just everything in this society that environment there. It just was the culture was just
twisted.
It was twisted, and it was just skeezed out. It's a part that. And that's something that
it's
as
the
troubling
underbelly of American society.
And as troubling as this is, I love seeing films that take me to a place that I'm not privy to.
Oh yeah,
because it helps me understand more about not just myself, but about the world that I live in.
Yeah, it's not a fun visit, but it is a visit.
Yeah, it's a very uncomfortable
visit. It's a visit to a place we are privileged to not see and have to live in, like these folks do.
And I'm so troubled with animals and the way that they treat animals, and in this movie it is extremely troubling to watch, but it's like I didn't let it deter from the message of what it's trying to do, but it's still really hard.
I wonder if Harmony Korine lived in this Xenia, Ohio, and then stuff he grew up in that, or someplace like that, similar. And that is what he wanted. He wanted to tell the story.
Imagine, that's why I always think the bunny is more like him, because I think imagine being a sensitive, intelligent, artistic kid growing up amongst a bunch of trashy fucking rednecks who don't value that sort of thing.
I kind of wish we saw the bunny man more, the bunny kid more, because I would have loved to like get to know him a little more.
There's more talk on the internet about what the bunny guy represents. Yeah. And I still, even after all this time, haven't quite figured that out. It's got something to do with innocence. It's got something to do, I think, with Harmony Korine himself. I'm just not 100% sure. I think he's talked about it, but I don't really remember.
Yeah, I don't think that they could have had it in there much more, in my opinion, because the way that I looked at it, now it's like as I'm sitting here taking it in even more, just being less than an hour out of it, it just seems like it's so limited. The happiness in this world that they're in is so limited.
Happiness.
But the bunny to me was a sense of innocence or happiness and stuff like that. But it had to be so limited because it's really limited in this movie. The truth.
So let's talk real quick about the scene that got Paul the most disgusted. Paul comes to us and says, this is a really disgusting movie and stuff, and just be prepared, blah, blah, blah. And I was thinking, like, disgusting, like, rape or torture or something that like, killing cats is one thing. But, like, if you were torturing the cats and stuff like that, which they really weren't. They were just trying to kill. They had
that one scene where they were smacking it.
Or they were putting it in drowning it and stuff.
But they weren't real. So.
But they weren't real, so whatever. So anyway, the point is that Paul had picked this movie and everything, and so he was saying it was disgusting. And there was some really disgusting. We saw the roaches and all that stuff. Then we see the kid taking a bath.
Oh, the bath scene, the spaghetti bath scene.
It's so filthy. Like Joe was like, "Is that bath green?"
Well, and it felt like in the stalls when they showed the stalls, they had the green floor around the toilet water.
Oh, the stalls where the guy was doing playing the accordion.
Yeah.
How could you pay enough money for people to sit in a tub full of shit water?
Well, anyway, he sits in a tub full of shit water. And then his mom brings him food and leaves it. So he's eating spaghetti
and strawberry milk.
And strawberry milkshake, whatever. Strawberry
soap
milk.
flying in there.
Yeah, while she's washing his hair.
While she's washing his hair.
And it's coming...
And it's coming down into his food. Like the
just eating it.
He's eating it, doesn't care. And then some people knock on the door, so she goes to answer the door. By the way, this kid's like 12 or 13, old enough where he doesn't need to be bathed by his mother anymore. Shouldn't be bathed by his mother. But
And then those kids come to the door and they're like, I'm like, oh, some nice kids.
They seem nice.
Dressed up nice. Please be nice kids.
I was like, they're good. They're doing good. They're doing it for this and
they're buying $1 for breast cancer or whatever. Cancer for kids.
And also Hodgkin's.
Hodgkin's.
Yeah, and then a couple scenes later, removed from the tub scene, which we'll get back to in a second, it shows them counting their money. And I was like, they're shit too.
Yeah, they're just pretending to be selling these candy bars to probably bought them for like 12 cents or something, and selling them for $1, and then getting money and counting all the money that they made.
Man.
And
so back to the tub.
So they go back to the tub, and he's eating this.
I know it got you guys
sandwich.
too.
Yeah, no, it made me almost throw up. So he's eating the candy bar, and it drops into the
shit water.
Into the shit water. And, normally if that happens, you go, ew, I don't want that.
Or you just say cut.
But it's really not shit water because it's like him taking a bath. It's not like toilet water.
He's in his own filth.
But he's in his own filth.
Right, and then
I don't know. I can't try it. I'm trying to justify the unjustifiable.
So he grabs it and eats it. And we were
immediately.
Just like, oh.
And then you just see it, and it's not being cleanly eaten too, and it's like all over his face.
Oh.
And his mom's in there washing a 12-year-old boy's hair. It's just ultimate skis all around.
Yeah,
I know.
When I first saw that scene in this movie in the theater, I'm like, I am in hell. I am in hell. This is gross.
I think I have something for a bath toilet water type of scene that rivals that opening or that scene in Trainspotting.
So if you interview
or Poultrygeist,
yeah,
I was thinking.
In Trainspotting, you remember when he dives in, he goes to the filthiest toilet in Scotland, and it shows him dive in there because he's going to get the suppository, and it shows him like filter through that. This is there, and it's worse.
Those were made around the same time too, I think, right? Wasn't Trainspotting 97? 97.
Yeah. So it's but at least in Trainspotting, it's a guy, an adult druggie having it's disgusting, but it's an adult drug. This is a 12-year-old boy who's been. I mean, we've seen him
bathing in his own shit.
Bathing is, and it's just. And his mom, the creepiness factor, whatever she represents.
And there's like 5 seconds where you see him like putting soap on this horrible, filthy wall and then just splashing some water on it. It's like,
he's trying to.
Why bother?
One spot of cleanliness over
in hell. It's like I've cleaned this tiny inch in hell.
There's so much more that there's so much depth of just.
I would love to meet the kid who would play and just ask, how much did they pay you to sit in that?
You could ask Harmony, how much did you pay him? Come on.
Well, to be honest, it probably wasn't really. It looked disgusting, but it probably wasn't. It was probably made up, I would hope. But then again, if they used houses with roaches on the walls, it might have been legitimately.
That's my feeling, is that place really exists and that water really exists.
They did the immersive experience. They immersed themselves completely in. And it was like brownish green water or whatever.
It was a color which I never want to see ever. And then when he's like spitting it out, you were like, oh.
No, I said yes. I was eating it. And he's like, and I was like, that just grossed me out. I could not.
But I think that's symbolic over the entire city that they're in. I mean, they were basically, their whole lives are in this shithole.
It's like Flint. It's like Flint.
If you notice, that comes like toward the end of the movie where.
After you've seen everything.
After you started seeing how disgusting this world is, now it's going to show you how even more disgusting it is, the most disgusting it is. And then like the end of the movie itself with the tornadoes hitting, and then you see sort of the what is it, the cat dying, and then they have that song or whatever, and he comes in, they grab the cat and then put the cat in there, and I thought, what a perfect ending! Like that should have ended it. But then they ended it with this girl singing.
I think I know why they did that too.
Why?
Because hanging on to some people, I know we have difference in faith and religions and stuff like that, but some people can hold on to their faith as a last bastion of hope in a legend, in just in an immersion of negative, just everything else down, which is what everything else in the city is. But they're like, Jesus loves me, so they're holding out hope in their mind. That's to them. That's what they're doing. But I know we have different religious takes to it. So I think that the two girls
when you have all of your mental faculties and you're thinking about sure, but this is somebody who probably doesn't and is just parroting back what she's been taught. You know what I mean? So I don't know if that's really a sincere thought.
Maybe that's also what they were going with.
Again,
maybe
it felt
like
exploitive.
at the end, maybe like it was saying like maybe religion
now,
is exploitive.
See, where I'm different from you guys, I kind of wish the ending had been in the pool. To me, I mean, you know me, I don't like up endings, but that would have been the up ending is, a little bit of hope. Buddy guy gets to kiss the two girls, and that would have at least been something positive you could have ended the movie on.
But even if they would have ended it there, it would have been negative. In my mind, it would have been negative because these girls are celebrating with that bunny, whatever the happiness that they're having at that moment, while their cat just got murdered.
Well,
and
but the cat, they didn't know.
But
they're
we
never,
didn't know.
But they're never going to find their cat again. So
No.
us as a viewer, they don't know this yet. But us as a viewers, like knowing what they're about to face, that they're never going to see their cat again, at least alive. And that to me, that's it might present a visually uplifting ending,
Actually,
but I would be negative because I'd be like, oh man, they're happy with what they face in life and where they live. It's like, ooh.
Well, yeah. Well, no, but no.
Life is
I
cheap
just
in
I
this
would
world,
just
though.
I would
Yeah,
disagree for
true.
one thing. So I do agree with Paul. It should have maybe ended with the two kissing or the two girls kissing the bunny, because then that's happiness and everything. That's
Even if
exact.
it's fleeting, it's
right?
something.
And they also don't know, and the audience at that point wouldn't know that the people had killed the cat. Now, knowing my ending that I liked is just him going like that into the camera. I just think it's visually kind of cool. Like,
Oh, it is. It's great.
I think that's where it should have ended.
Yeah.
With them holding the cat.
Well,
as troubling as we both are with animals being exploited and being damaged, stuff like that.
But then the audience knows that the cat's dead, and instead of wondering whatever happened
So
to the
it
cat.
deflates what little bit of happiness they had.
Well, I mean, those people don't know. They may never know that their cat died.
They'll never have the cat again.
Yeah, they'll never see the cat again, so they'll know that cat is gone.
And, even if they did, my feeling is at that point, they may be sad, but then they're going to be like, you get another cat.
Right.
Not a big deal.
Well, yeah, and they were worried about the cat being pregnant and stuff like that.
The cat, even though they would drown
yeah,
the
exactly.
kid.
Well, if they get kids, they're going to drown it in the creek.
That's the thing. It's like us.
The fuck?
We're trying to relate from our world to what they experience in their world.
Yeah, and we can't really do that because we're not part of that world.
Yeah. Right.
And
then you think at the same time, it's like, well, they probably can't afford anything more than the one cat. What if they have like 6 cats or 8 cats? What are they going to do with them?
Right. How are they going to feed them? How are they going to pay them?
If they take them to a shelter, they're probably going to get put down.
Well, they could sell them to somebody who needs.
They said they would put them all under so that they wouldn't even want to have more than one. It's just.
Anyway,
it's still inexcusable. I just, I'm trying to see it from their point of view.
I wouldn't be able to do that.
No.
Me personally, I wouldn't be able to drown any animals and stuff. So,
us trying to put our existence into that with their entire life, bringing them to that. It's just.
Somebody also said there were a lot of stray cats in that area. I think it was the black guy was saying there were a lot of stray cats in that area. That basically that's why these cats are being killed and stuff. A lot of these are just stray cats. They even said we don't touch house cats because those are people's cats. We just kill the people.
Irresponsible. They don't spay their animals, and so they freaking overpopulate.
It's terrible. But we see. I mean, sometimes you see stray cats in our neighborhood, but then most likely those animals are just animals that got loose and they're out. We don't really see that many strays because we don't.
And stray animals don't live very happy lives.
No,
they usually starve to death.
Or they're usually out hunting in the woods, or whatever. Like
die of disease or accidents. They don't live happy lives. So. And it's just I wouldn't drown them in a creek either.
I wouldn't want to see that. Like I wouldn't want to do any of that stuff. I wouldn't want to drown them in the or whatever in a bucket of water or whatever, and I wouldn't want to shoot them. Like
in a way, all the human characters are stray cats in this world.
So do you think that maybe like the more humane thing is that they that Jared puts poison down for them? I mean, it's still a fucked up way to die, but like, is it worse than being drowned, or is it worse than being shot? I mean,
if it were me, I would still give them to a shelter, just because at that point, whatever happens is on them.
But they're making money, giving them dead cats to whoever that is.
And shooting old ladies in the foot with BB guns.
Yeah,
and that's a murder, by the way, we watch.
Yeah, and they never went with where that anywhere, because they showed the BB in her toe and that it was turned off. They turned the air thing off. When that guy came back and saw this stuff happen, there was no. You would think that there would be some sort of repercussion that person would snap back at them, and that was left
or no. Not. It depends on how.
Well, Jared kept telling him that he didn't care. Like he didn't care about his grandma. He didn't want to do any of that.
From their point of view, I think he thought it was like a mercy killing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he said she's been dead.
On the other hand, it's not his place to make that decision.
Right. It's this whole Dr. Kevorkian thing. Basically that's assisted suicide and stuff. But in this sense, it's assisted homicide in a way, because the woman never gave her consent to be murdered that way or whatever. In fact, there are a lot of people who put contracts into how they want. Like, I was watching the Seinfeld episode recently, and he actually was like going through every way that he could possibly die.
Do not resuscitate.
You're right. And then he was like, oh, wait, if you were in a coma, or whatever, people wake up from comas, people, I mean, I don't know if she would have woke up from being catatonic or not.
No, it's pretty rare. It happens, but it's rare.
So he was like, so the guy was saying that she's been dead, basically, even though she's not dead, but she's basically dead, right, for so long, that she could live like that forever and stuff. And like, I'm sorry, but is that kid gonna do that for that long, or is he should give it over to a hospital?
Well, and probably can't afford it.
But they had to afford something where they had all that medical equipment there, and so I mean they had to have some form of money. So it's like, I don't know. It's just everything.
Where are the parents?
Yeah.
Wherever you turn.
Where are the parents for any of these people?
Wherever you turn in this movie, it's sad.
Yeah.
And I'm not familiar with anything that the director's done other than this. I mean, I had seen kids.
Made,
you say he was involved.
He also wrote Bully, which you said
I've seen that.
And then he also did a movie called Ken Park.
Yep.
Which is a skateboard fucked up movie, kind of like a more mainstream version of this kind of thing. It's not nearly as bad. And then he did Spring Breakers with James Franco.
That was an ugly movie also.
Yeah,
I have seen that.
Yeah.
Didn't he do Trash Humpers, or is that Larry Clark? I get the two of them confused because they work together so much.
Yeah, they work together so much, and then they do separate stuff.
Well, this felt like a companion piece to kids, so yeah.
I know he just did a new movie or he did The Beach Bum with Matthew McConaughey.
That was a funny movie.
And he did that one.
That was funny.
And that wasn't that weird or gross or anything, from what I understand. It might have a little bit of his.
There's a little bit. It's an odd film, but
right.
It's McConaughey.
And then there's
and Martin Lawrence has a cameo.
I want to say he did something recently too, but whatever.
Well, I'm glad he's doing stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
Beach Bum's probably about as Hollywood.
I mean,
probably go between that and maybe Bully.
I mean, here's the thing. I think Hollywood actors, especially, probably watch his movies, or whatever, because they're probably told. A lot of people, like a lot of Hollywood actors have watched The Room. They're like, oh my god, what is this fucking thing? Right? And they watch it, and then some of them are probably like, it would be fun to like work with Harmony Korine on something, or whatever. So.
And of course, Chloe Sevigny's gone on to do a whole lot of good stuff. Boys Don't Cry, and she's been in a bunch of HBO stuff.
Well, I just did a Quick Review Thursday movie that she and Brad Renfro were in together again, called Tart.
I heard about that. I never saw it.
Yeah, it's on Tubi. It's It's okay. It should have been better. Than I think it had some moments. Dominic Swain is just, oof, I love her. I love her as a person. She's very sweet. She talks to me occasionally online, or whatever.
Well, I've had a big crush on Chloe Sevigny for a long time.
Yeah, she kind of plays the typical like bitchy character that she sort of plays in a lot of these indie movies and stuff, where she's like very, I don't know. So it's okay movie, but it wasn't nearly as.
She was in a TV show that
I thought she
never really watched. I can't remember. It was an HBO series.
And then she was in the Brown Bunny.
She was in Westworld.
No, it wasn't that one. It was Little Lies or one of those type pretty little.
Big Little Lies or something.
Lies. One of those.
Yeah, I never saw that.
I think Nicole Kidman. Maybe.
Yeah, that sounds like that sounds about right.
But,
and she was in the one with the Mormon wives things.
That's the one I'm really thinking of. Big Love.
Big Love. Yeah.
She was one of the wives.
Oh,
that's really. Yeah,
but she's fantastic. I love seeing her and everything that she's in.
Awesome.
I would love to see her do even more stuff, but I think there was some issue that had with her. There was some like a thing or something like I don't think, was it something to do with Scientology or something? Am I right?
God, I hope not.
I hope not either. But anyway, I adore her, so I'll watch everything she's ever.
Absolutely.
She's ever.
Even Brown Bunny.
I never watched it. I never will. Yeah, it's
boring.
too long, too boring. It's literally a dude driving and no talking. And I'm like, why would I want to watch that? Like,
but driving can be all right if it's enough characters. Tom Hardy did that one where he's in the car.
Well, that was Hip Hop not Hip Hop Locos. What was the one we saw? The one with my brain doesn't work anymore. The little short film.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. The one with what's his name? With Robert Zadar.
Yeah, with Robert Zadar.
Oh, that your boy, that your buddy that you love, directed. That movie was an
awful lot of driving.
Yeah, it was a lot of driving, and it was boring. And like that was only like 30 minutes, 40 minutes. I can't imagine over a 2-hour film of that.
Well, I saw one recently. It was just doing a cab ride in a car, and now it was Daddy-O.
Yeah. Okay. If you can make, like, Kevin Smith could write a story of two people talking for an hour and a half in a car.
That's what. But
see, that's the thing. If they're talking.
Yeah.
But the Brown Bunny is literally him just driving. Yeah. There's no talk.
Outside of a few scenes, I've pretty much forgotten Brown Bunny, to be
or
honest.
Richard Linklater could make that because that's what he does.
Tarantino.
Quentin Tarantino would.
There'd be a lot of shots of the people's feet on the gas puddles.
Yes. I guarantee you, if Tarantino watches this, he'd be pissed that we said that.
That's all right.
But all right. Well,
But
I'm sure he knows that everybody knows.
Back with this movie, I mean, if there's people that just watch films just simply for just enjoyment factors and stuff like that, this isn't definitely
stay away from this movie.
But if it's something that you're really wanting to understand and just see other cultures and experience other things and are open-minded to different things, this could be something that could be up your alley. But there's a lot of stuff in it that's very troubling. And very troubling.
But
that means it's effective.
This is not a movie to be comforted by. This is a movie to be challenged by.
Like we said, like this isn't a movie you could fall asleep to, like or whatever. Like wanna watch on a Saturday. Oh, I'm bored. Let's watch Gummo. That doesn't work. But watching this movie,
this is when you want to appall your friends.
Well, yeah, this is something you want to show your friends and be like, look. I'm gonna warn you.
Yeah, you have to be prepared to watch it either by yourself.
Something outside the box here.
But this is not like Happiness. You can't go up to your friends and say, "Hey, do you want to watch Happiness?" You have to warn them that there are some subject matter in this movie that will cause you to squirm or be like grossed out or maybe even throw up. Like the water, the bath scene is probably the grossest scene in the whole movie. That is what I expected the whole movie to have.
Oh, yeah.
The whole movie didn't have that.
No.
And every time Paul was like, "Oh, it's disgusting," I'm like, I've seen houses that are have roaches in them. And
you've been numbed down by a few other things.
I know. I feel like he's shown me enough shit that I'm, like I was telling Paul earlier. What's it? Pink Flamingos is worse in this movie and only has 2 gross out scenes. But is worse than this movie. This movie has a lot of gross out scenes to Paul mostly, me, it didn't, but it doesn't have a pulsating anus or anything like that, like the Pink Flamingos had.
But I think a lot of the extreme scenes that's in a lot of movies that and stuff that I've seen from you, those are done for extreme purposes, just to be, just for I don't say the fun of it that they're making it or whatever. This
shock value.
Shock value.
This has the shock value, but it's also in the sense of it's telling a story of a culture,
it's
of an
part
area.
of the everyday experience that these characters go through,
and that's why I could watch it in a different light than I would watch some of the other stuff that we've seen, the Geek Maggot Bingo and stuff like that, because those ones it's like, okay,
if you ever see a movie called what's the Russian World War II movie? Not Being There, it's
Come here.
Come and See.
Come and See. Yeah,
there's some appalling shit that goes on.
I have that on Criterion.
But it's not because it's shock value. It's because this is what the character experienced at that time,
right?
In that circumstance,
like they want you to know and feel like as if you're with that character,
right.
And that's what this movie does. Yep. This movie makes you. And I think that's why it was shot in that documentary style. And he probably let a lot of, and
I think that's why he chose to shoot it down in Nashville versus Xenia, because it just heightens everything by shooting it in some place that's
worse than that probably the place actually is.
Where the background becomes a character of the movie itself.
I laughed sort of in a way when the people are coming with the, trying to, foot the cat, and they were trying to tell people, and this one woman was like, "Oh, we don't live here, honey, but, we'll look out for them."
They're probably real people.
And I was like thinking to myself, wait, people like actually stop in Xenia, Ohio, like on their way to Cleveland or something, like
it's sort of
it's just weird to me.
Dayton, Columbus, Cincinnati.
By the way, Foot, that's I don't know if you guys know the Shugs. But they did a song called "My Pal Foot," and it's
so you think that's what
it's considered one of the worst songs ever made.
Oh, well, there you go. That kind of fits with the story. Speaking of music, there's some really big songs in this movie.
Oh yeah.
They had the first one we hear is fucking weird ass.
Amaretto.
The cock-a-doodle-doo.
Yeah, that's an old American sort of folk song.
Okay. Well, then they go into the next big song. The first big song in the movie is what is it? "Every Day" by Buddy Holly, and I was like, "Man!"
I was like, "There's part of the budget."
I know. We were like, "Yeah," because we're right before Paul was saying, "I don't know where they get what they spend $1 million."
Well, yes and no. 30 seconds.
What was the budget of the film? Do you know?
1.3 million. That surprised me.
No, I don't think it surprised me because music
songs.
is really expensive. Music is expensive. The music rights. Then on top of that, you said there was a couple actors, so big name actors that have been doing stuff. So he got some actual name talent to be in the movie, and then all the rest is just art direction. Some
Roy Orbison.
Yeah, the
song "Crying."
The guy he got to shoot it, I forget his name. He's a French director and cinematographer. He apparently liked Harmony Korine's, so much that he decided to work for him for like a fraction of what he normally would have charged.
And then Madonna
with
that's probably where a lot of them
that right there's the biggest song.
3 songs. Then you had a bunch of rock groups, heavy metal groups, T-shirts,
death metal.
And there were some in the songs,
the video and stuff like that. So I mean, that stuff adds up quick, and then on top of that, you have a few people. Then the production cost. I mean,
and you're talking, was it $1.3 million back then? In '97. You have to count in inflation how much that would be today.
Yeah.
Today that would be a lot. Maybe $3 to $4 million at least, if not more.
And you don't want to say that there was only there's maybe 5 or so main characters, but there was so many branch off little things that this probably wasn't shot in a number like most independent films in a handful of days.
Oh no! This took a while.
Well, you said it was from '96 that it was filmed and came out in '97.
Right.
So it probably took almost a year to film. Just everything.
I would think it takes some time because they had a lot of different little vignette stories.
And we pointed out there were some that just got into the film whether they knew about it or not, and others who did not give their likeness permission.
It was all...
they grayed out the 2 couple people.
I was like, oh shit, because that made it feel like a documentary, because that's what happens in a lot of documentaries. You don't get you were never able to get permission, and those were kids, so most likely they were never able to get the parents' permission to use their kids' likeness. But they use their voices, and I'm assuming,
and I'm thinking it was that, but another possibility was maybe he wanted to make it feel like a documentary, so he blurred those real quick just to have that documentary feel.
Maybe, because it does have that. I mean, it does feel like that. And
or there are people who saw it afterwards and said, "Yeah, I don't want my face or name associated with this."
This is not what I signed up for.
I retract my permission.
Paul, that would be Paul right there. Be like, "Oh God, that kid was in the bathtub. No, I don't want this. Nope, I'm done."
You can do all that. I draw the line. You can have me in a bunny suit or a cow suit, all this stuff. But don't put me in a toilet in my own filth.
This is coming out in a 4K. I assume there'll be a Blu-ray to go with it. And there you go, and it'll be Criterion. So
you get to see the bathtub and
all
glorious
its
4K.
You can see if there was any floating chocolate.
Oh God! Imagine what you could find in there. And the roaches would just like pop. Out. Oh, man.
Roaches that'll rival Joe's apartment the movie.
Oh, God. Well, those are all fake roaches. This is real roaches.
Real.
These are real roaches.
They didn't know what they were going to get when they picked those frames up, I guess. And, it's disgusting. It's just it's a movie that honestly I'll probably unless it was with somebody else, I probably would never watch again. But
you and show Amber this?
No.
Wants to be divorced.
Hey, let's say you gotta watch a nice, beautiful romantic comedy.
Though she gets into documentaries, and this does feel like it goes into that.
Well,
but it's not a movie I can.
I think if you explained her that this movie is basically made so that people like us who would never ever be caught in this situation and everything could sort of see what it's like on the other side. This could have been us. At any time in our lives.
I could see it showing as someone like Ramaku, because I think Ramaku could appreciate it from the filmmaking point of view. She would still be appalled by it, but I think she would understand what the way that it was made and why it was made the way it was.
Jen, this is definitely a movie. Don't show Jen.
No, this is not a just Jen.
But and another thing, this gives
Rachel would hate
this. This gives some context.
Jolene might like it
without getting into political discussions and stuff like that. But when you hear stuff on the news about stuff that happens and some of the political commentary that happens, stuff like that, and you can see what happens in some societies and some cultures, some little sections of America. This is there, and that it's enlightening. Not to hear it, because if you hear, oh, this happened, it's like, oh, that's shocking. But when you see it in a way like this, where it looks and it's visually there and bare as ever in front of you, it's shocking. And
it's
that's
shocking.
what it's meant to be.
It was shocking.
It's an exploration of people and an area that is not brought up with in Hollywood films, almost never.
No, they don't. They would never get caught letting kids say the words that they said and stuff like they said.
God no.
Those little children saying the F word and saying much worse than that.
It starts off the very first thing is you hear kids, singing that from the very beginning of the film.
Yep.
And talking about people that got taken away by the tornadoes and they never found the heads and stuff like that. to me, it's like the film's disgusting. But going back to what I said when I came in, and I was like so happy-go-lucky into my day. It's like after seeing this, it's like I'm depressed, but not in the sense of internally depressed. It's just it's sad.
It's sad that
It's sad, but at the same time, you didn't have to experience that. So at the same time, you should also feel happy and grateful.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, yes and no. I mean, we don't. We should be happy and grateful that we're not in a part of this. Thanks to our parents. Thanks to our upbringing. But in the same sense, we shouldn't be happy and grateful that there are people out there right now that are probably dealing with this kind of stuff. But most might have the internet now and might have other things that they're able to do, or whatever. That's not hopefully killing cats and stuff like that, and not doing these terrible, horrible things. I thought there were going to be more animals other than cats, but apparently cats were the main thing. I think they showed a dog. The one guy was like picking up a dog and like wrestling with the dog, and I was like, oh god, where's this gonna go? And then nothing happened, and I was like, thank God, because I thought he was gonna kill the dog, but he was just like fucking around with the dog, and the dog did not seem to be excited about that. Like, get off me. You know?
But anybody who watches this and can't feel at least, I mean, I'm sympathetic to what they go through, but if they just can't it's just
empathize with them.
It's sad. And that's the way I walked out of it. It's like it's sad, and I'm troubled by the depiction of cat, but it's like, unfortunately, that's
especially if these are the real people that are doing this on a normal day basis. You know, then you're seeing
this is their life. This is
you're
their
seeing
reality.
this stuff, and it's sad, you know, because you can't do anything about it. You can't do a damn thing. Like I was saying, you can't go into one small town and fix it up, because you know how much that will cost, and on top of that, that's just one town. You know, there are millions of towns like this.
Right. It's just, you know, when Tumblr's dad does that filthy poetry thing, I mean, to him, that's like the height of wit. Mm-hmm. You know, that's him showing off. You know what I mean? Where to us, we're like, that's appalling.
Because if you put people whose entire existence is what this shows, and you put them in a nice house, that's not going to change where they come from and what they are.
No, they'll just fuck it up.
And so that, I mean, it's like putting lipstick on a pig. It's like, it's not good. It might
still be a pig.
It's still a pig. I mean, and I'm
it's
not
just
saying
a pig
that about
with lipstick.
Yeah,
on
I'm
it.
not trying to say that about these people, because I'm saying it's the root cause of where it's all at, and that's just and that's why I keep going back to it. It was just sad to see, and it's
it was
just
sad.
Like, and for us, for the series that this is part of, it's what the fuck. It's like, what the fuck that there's people.
How many times did I say what the fuck in this movie?
Yeah.
They were saying.
But
it.
I would like to see more people see it, because I think people do need a little kick in the butt to say there's another side of life that you don't see.
But what does that do? It just makes you aware, but what does it do? It makes
you aware, and
That's
maybe some people might do more, might try to help out more. I don't know, but at least the first step is to be aware that there are other people living other lives that you don't know about.
Maybe it would prepare people to not go down that route, maybe, you know, or whatever. Because anyone can. And, you know, if you just stop giving a fuck, and you start, you know, stop bathing, and you stop doing all these things, that you stop working, stop, you know, whatever, you're going to end up going into a small town and just not, you know, not caring. And
you can understand why a lot of these small towns have, you know, poverty issues, alcoholism issues, drug issues, crime issues, because the people have given up. There's just a pervading sense of hopelessness and despair.
And then there's a lot of mental challenge, you know, stuff, and that sucks, because, you know, because a lot of that's because of drugs and because of other
vices
stuff. Like,
breed vices.
It is in its very core level. Even if the person's greedy in the sense of the way that they're so somebody's involved in their own self-interest and they don't want to be part of that. In their own self-interest, you should be aware of somebody whose value on life alone is minimal, because they even talk about killing each other and stuff like that, and it's like they don't value you either. So it's like it'd be in your best interest to at least understand what this culture and what this area is about, because it could impact you. Now, me personally, I have a heart, and it's like, oh, I really empathize with, sympathize with them, and it's just it's sad. It's a sad, and it was very hard watch. It was a very hard watch,
but it's enriching in its way too.
Yeah, I think
it's a hard watch, but if you can get through it,
it's necessary for people who really want to think.
So you can see the value in it, and you see why Criterion would want to do the next step up and preserve it and to get it to 4K and all that.
I don't know why 4K, but you know, whatever. You know, like,
I think this is the type of movie. It's like, is 4K going to really help it?
The 4K is, I think, going to hurt it, because we've talked about this before on like Night of the Living Dead, and you know, the whole point of watching like the crappiest version of something makes you go, this is how the movie was made.
I don't want this.
This is what the movie was made.
Glamorized.
I know. I feel like I feel like that's going, and I'm gonna buy it, and I might actually look at it and see how it looks.
This could have been really. I mean, some of the way it looked like the ratio of it and stuff like that. I mean, VHS would have even.
Well, the other thing too is that there's probably going to be extra stuff on there, maybe deleted scenes, maybe other stuff that I haven't
that
seen.
hasn't been on the DVD.
I'm hoping Harmony Korine will be on there and talk a little bit more about it. Love to find out more background. I mean, you could talk about this movie with Harmony Korine forever.
Yeah, I bet he would. Yeah, I bet he has a million stories that go on with it, because then you can get into the nitty gritty.
Call him up, get him on our show.
I wish. He's a hard guy. Like, he might be independent, but he's hard. You know,
he gives more context to the other stuff that I've seen now of his, because I didn't. And now Spring Breakers and stuff like that.
Well, you know, you just call up Chloe Savini, say, "Hey, Chloe, see if you can get Harmony for us."
Yeah,
get Bob.
I don't think they're friends anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they broke up.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't necessarily mean.
I don't know.
Larry Clark.
I was like Bob Clark. I was like
Bob Clark. That's a different Clark.
Unfortunately, he's passed from Porky's.
Get Larry Clark on the phone too while you're at it.
Yeah,
Porky's was pretty whatever, but that was a different kind of
kind of raunch. That was comedic raunch, and just
this is
something else. This is
disgusting. But I didn't I remember renting this from the video store on VHS back in the day when it first came out, because I was like, what is this? It looked interesting from the picture and stuff. I bring it home and I got bored, because in the beginning of the movie it starts out with things that just vignettes. It gets vignettes. It got the cock-a-doodle-doo. It's got all these things. I'm like, I don't understand what the heck is going on. I'm done. I was a kid. I was young. I was like maybe 18.
Probably staying for me in a different way. It's like just not ready to experience and understand this film.
Yeah, I wouldn't have watched the whole thing of this movie, especially once it got to the cats. I didn't even get to that part. I don't think I even got to that part. If I had seen him do that to the cat, I would be like, nope, I'm done. I'm out. Generally speaking, because I hate movies that depict that stuff. I won't even watch John Wick yet, because I know a dog dies.
And that's why the very first thing I said was, the cats are fake. The cats are fake.
Yeah, everything's fake.
Don't
it even
come
says
at me, bro.
it in the thing. It says simulation is fake. Is not real. So the animal death simulation is not real. Good. Makes me happy. Whatever. Once you said fake, I noticed it being fake. I noticed that the one cat being drowned did not look like they were even moving to begin with. It looked like a stuffed animal that he did that. It just happened to look similar to the white cat that they had. So I was like, oh, okay, that didn't bother me at all, But
see, but
the reality is that's happening.
That's why I can't show you guys this other Asian film that I have. I forget what it's called, The Furious Snakes or something like that, or Nightmare of Snakes, because there's real snake killing in that film.
No.
And I have only gone 15 minutes into the movie, and I did it with Gary, and we were both like, yeah, we've had enough of this.
Gary's had enough too.
Couldn't watch it.
I stopped watching a really great movie because they had kangaroo killing in the movie. And real. It was real kangaroo killing. Apparently, kangaroos in Australia are killed a lot and used for meat. They're hunted and stuff, and I believe that's exactly probably what they did, because they were eating it afterwards. It was that Walkabout movie, it's a great movie. But once I saw it, and you heard the kangaroo yelp in pain, it just turned me off, man. I'm like, I'll finish it later, but right now, I can't imagine seeing it was real. I don't like seeing real. This is why I watch movies. I don't generally watch movies to get real, right. Unless it's a documentary or whatever, or if we're doing something like this where we're talking about it.
Even that is acceptable to a point. If you're hunting an animal that's going to be eaten or killed anyway, it's kind of like in Apocalypse Now, where the famous scene towards the end where the buffalo gets killed. That's just what they do in that culture, and they were going to eat that animal. So I still don't want to see it, but at least it's that in that snake movie and in some of the other movies, they're not killed for any other reason other than the film, and that is appalling. That is awful.
That's Cannibal Holocaust. They did eat the stuff, right? They ate the turtle or whatever but they ripped it apart. That's not cool with me, man.
They glorified the killing.
Yeah.
doing stuff like that. And
I can't. Like this stuff, it seems like the kids are killing cats to sell, to make money so that they can survive, which sucks. You know,
or they do
like, get a real job.
What they're doing, they're using fake cats, so the line's not crossed.
They weren't doing it just to necessarily survive. They were doing it so they can go pay for prostitute or
get their glue to sniff.
Yeah. So
you wondered what kind of glue was that? Like something butcher's glue or something?
They said not this. I want this type of glue.
Yeah, it was like not wood glue, not whatever glue.
It's like you got it in a tin or something.
And I'm sure that's just doing all kinds of wonderful things to their brains.
I know, but this is the life they live.
Glue
and the fucking prostitutes. Why not? And that dude seemed, I don't know how long it was, but it seemed like he was pretty quick in there and out, from having sex with the prostitute.
Don't want to know.
We never saw that. I thought we were never going to see the girl, and I was like, oh, okay. Then we saw the girl, and you were like, ugh. And the girl's talking to him, like the 12-year-old, about love and other stuff, and it just got really weird.
Uncomfortable.
Yeah, the whole movie was very uncomfortable. She said you have to take 37 showers after watching this movie, and I totally agree. It's pretty gross.
All right. Well, thank you guys very much. We could talk about this movie forever.
Is this the type of movies that you all when you for this series? Is this really the type of, or is this like really a detour from where you?
No, this is what the fuck.
So, I mean, I've seen a lot of I've seen some of them and all, and it seems like
they're all different.
They're more just the few that I've seen have gone off in just the extreme nature of it, and the one that I was part of.
Well,
this is more like Pink Flamingos in that aspect.
This is a step between normal, weird, and crazy and extreme.
Yeah, this is like kind of in the middle.
There is extreme stuff, but we haven't really touched.
Well, we're supposed to do that for another show.
Yeah,
but this, what I guess where I'm trying to go with it is some of that other extreme stuff that you might be doing on some of the other episodes. It's extreme in a comedic or funny or just to be extreme. This has an underlying serious core message in it and stuff like that.
Right.
Where it's a bit different. It's a bit separated.
I mean, it's not like that fetish cosplay movie you made me watch, which is so fucking boring to me. Paul thought it was fucking like, and it was what the fuck. I'm not gonna lie, but like this is more like Pink Flamingos, where it is like, out there and strange.
Out there and strange, but it's not extreme.
It's not extreme. It was teetering the line where it could have been extreme, but they just, I don't think they held back. I think they just made the movie they wanted to make.
Right. It's usually the extreme stuff is done for a reason, and that reason really wasn't in this film. Yeah. It's to make you uncomfortable, it's to make you think, it's to make you put you in a situation to see things and people and situations and societies that you don't see.
You missed Tusk. You've seen that, I'm sure.
No, I have never seen Tusk. I've never watched Tusk.
We should have brought you over for that one, because that's it's a Kevin Smith weird ass movie,
it's
but
one of the two that that I haven't seen. So.
Yeah, it's not bad. Like it's just weird.
Did this get any theater play?
Oh.
Really? So I remember when it came out on video because I was around the video store, but I'm trying to remember if it had any sort.
Yeah, he said he saw it in the theater. So
okay.
Several times.
Several. You watched this more than once in the...
Hell yeah.
What is wrong with you?
You saw this multiple times.
I saw this by myself, and then I said,
oh
my friends, you got to come see this.
Okay. Now that makes sense.
38 showers.
Yep. Now you got to go to more showers. Jesus Christ. Keep taking it.
All right. We got to wrap this up. Thanks for coming along.
Just don't put spaghetti in the shower.
No.
Bye, guys.
We'll
Have
see
a good
you on
one.
the next
we'll see you
episode.
later.
Bye.
Bye.